Hi everyone, it's Tammy with Frou-frou Studio and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do another make for the I Thought on Pinterest series. And today I have chosen this tag, which is by Butterfly Crafter. And it is linked to a blog called AllisonBalmer.blogspot.com, and she did this for a challenge that showed it was like a tic-tac-toe, musical tic-tac-toe, and you had to use certain things in the make, and she made this beautiful tag. And she has step-by-step instructions on how she did it. And it's a real interesting post if you want to go and check it out. And so I am going to do my version of this, which is actually going to be really close to the original because I like it. There's a couple of things that I'm going to change, but not a lot, to be honest. So let's get started. And the first thing I'm going to do is try to create this grungy background that she has on the tag. And I have I think she actually did it on a bigger piece of chipboard, cut like a tag. But I'm going to do it on just a number 6 tag. I'm setting my iPad over to the side, which measures about 3 1/4 by 6. So that's what I'm going to start with. So the first thing that I need to do, obviously, is get this background going here. And so I'm going to do some of the, smush and drag. This is Vintage Photo. And this is Antique Linen. And I'm going to squirt it with some water and then just simply dip the tag down in it to try to get some color on the tag. And then we'll go from there. And you can, just dip and lift to get some grunge, good grunge on there and some good spots. And we'll dry in between each layer till we get it where we want it. All right, let's hit that with the heat gun. See if we can get something going here. And you don't have to get this all the way dry between each layer. You can, obviously, I should have dried that off because that is not good for your ink pad. Do not do what I just did and put your ink pad where there's been water. Okay, we're starting to get some good grunge going. And don't worry about it curling. Paper has no memory, so it will straighten back out. Okay, now I feel like I want something a little deeper, so I'm going to take my ground espresso and do just a little bit of that. And let's see if we can get a little darker color going on in a couple of spots. And you can see I'm just taking a cloth and just wiping it right off my glass mat when I'm done. Okay, now I'm going to get one of my little brushes and I'm going to take the vintage photo and I'm going to start off the tag and come up onto the edge of the tag and just kind of even this color out a little bit. And I'm going to pay more attention to the corners, the edges. And just kind of work my way in. Oh, excuse me, I'm sneezing. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Snuck up on me. Okay, and then I'm gonna do the same thing with the ground espresso, but I'm gonna concentrate mainly on the edges. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. Again, I'm just going to wipe this off. Flatten this back out. Okay, now the next thing that I want to do is I want to add some stamping and some embossing to the back of this so that we can kind of continue to build our background, but we're going to a different layer. This time I'm going to use archival ink so that it's more permanent. And I've got this big script stamp that I got at Hobby Lobby that I've had forever, but it's one of my favorites. And even though it's on this big block, which sometimes can be a pain in the butt, I really like it. So it's a really good script stamp. Okay, and then I want to put some embossing on here, and for that I'm going to use this stamp, which is music, that I also got at Hobby Lobby a long time ago, and I'm going to use my embossing pad. And I'm not looking for, you know, a totally clear stamp on this, or a totally perfect stamp. Couldn't think of the word I was trying to use. Let me get a piece of scrap paper so I have something to kind of clean this off when I'm done. And I'm just going to randomly stamp. And then I'm using white this time to see what we get, because I want it to be lighter. And any part that you don't like, you can wipe away. This tag was still a little bit damp, so it's showing stuff other than music on there, which I don't mind, but I don't want it to be too much. Okay, let's try that. Put my extra back in there. Actually, I am going to wipe a little bit more of this away, because I don't want these little white specks. Okay, let's try that. Now I'm going to use this heat tool, which takes a little longer when you're doing embossing. I have my other one, but it's so loud. We're going to try to do it with this. See if I can keep the noise to a minimum. It just takes a little longer to melt it than the actual embossing heat gun does. Okay, so there's our little bit of white. Now we're going to do the same thing, but I'm going to use antique linen this time. Tim Holtz, this one, the embossing glaze, and I'm going to do antique linen instead of white. Oops. You can also use a dauber if you want to for the embossing. You don't have to use the pad. You can use the dauber. I have that as well, but pad's just what I grabbed. I don't know if that's going to show up or not. We'll see when we emboss it. I think it will a little bit, which the texture is what I'm more interested in anyway, so I think we'll be all right. I normally do not emboss over here, so I don't have all my tools over on this side of the ring. Okay, you can see that. Hang that up and I'll show you. So that shows that. But what I do feel like is I feel like my script needs to be darker than it is. So I'm going to take my script stamp back, and this time I'm going to stamp it with a StazOn, and I'm going to use Timber Brown just to make our text a little darker. Make sure I'm not doing it upside down. Okay, so I think we've got a good background going on there. Let's go back to our reference picture. So we've got some lighter color. We've got some, she's got some gold, which we may do some gold splatters. Let's do that. I don't want to use gold embossing powder, so let's do some gold splatters to finish off our background. So I'm going to get my Van Gogh, if we want to pronounce it like it's supposed to be pronounced. I think that's correct. I'm going to put just a little bit down on here. Spray some water. Smoosh it around. And I've got my dried out fan brush. I'm just gonna kind of splatter. Okay. Clean that up now. And give that a dry. And then we'll have our background done and we can start putting our other stuff on. Flip it over this way, and then I'll help it flatten back out some, and then I'll do a little smooshing down with my scraper and get it back flat so that we can work on it. Give it a good smoosh. And bend. Okay, now if you can see those, I hope you can. We have a really nice background. All right. So, like I said, I'm sticking pretty close to hers. I actually have the same image she has used. So, let's start assembling. Now, I have two choices for the bottom piece that I cut out with my Big Shot. I have this one, which is one of the 3D Tim Holtz 3D trims. So I have this one. And I also have this one, which was a embossing folder by Sizzix. It's not Tim Holtz. It's a very old one. I got it at a thrift store. Second-hand store. I really like the embossed one. Decisions. They both look really good, actually. So if I do this one, I think this one is going to work better because if I do this one, I'm going to get 4 pretty much entire little scallops on the bottom. Where if I do the other one, I'm afraid it's going to look weird when you cut it off. So let's do this one. Let's ink it up a little bit. It's way too white. Or actually, it's not white, it's cream, but still too light, I guess is a better term. Alright, So let's do some vintage photo. Around the edges. The only thing I wish about this one is that it had something here, but because it was just in an embossing folder and not a actual, you know, piece of trim, a die for a piece of trim, then it doesn't have that top edge. I could cut it with a decal trimmer. Let's do that. Maybe that will give it a little bit of character on that top edge. Let's see if I can get it in here and cut it without cutting my finger off. Just want to do just barely. There we go. I like that better. Just gives it a little something. And I didn't have to ink this whole piece because obviously it's too long. But that gives a little edge to kind of catch the inks. Alright, so if I put it here to here, then I can trim it off. And I think it'll look pretty nice across there. Now, when I get finished, I will cover this back with a piece of coffee dyed paper or something so that you can't see all the spots and stains from where we use the different inks and all that, just so it has a nice clean back to it. Okay, so next we have this piece needs to be next, and this piece is not like hers. It's similar, but it's not like hers. So we need this piece, and we need to place the treble clef based on, whoops, I'm hung, and I gotta be careful because this treble clef is just cut out of a piece of paper. She's got hers hanging off the top, and I'm not gonna do that because I just cut this out freehand, and it is just on regular coffee dyed paper, and it is not at all very sturdy, and so I don't want it hanging off the top. But I want it to be low enough because the picture, my picture, I feel like is bigger. But I think it's because my tag is smaller. Okay, so let's get these two pieces glued down, hopefully without tearing either one of them up. Actually, I think I want to put some brads in those holes. Let me see if I have some tiny ones over here. I already poked the holes for them. I just forgot to put the brads in there. Of course, now I won't be able to find one that same color. I should have found two before I put it in there. Yep. Come on, I know I put the hole in there. There we go. Okay. So that's for sure a difference. Hers is just an ad that she, it looks like she just tore around or maybe stamped. And mine is, you know, more like a plaque, which is, either is fine, but it is a difference. All right, so let's put some art glitter glue on this. And I also backed mine with some packing paper, just to make it a little, give it a little more texture, and she did not do that. But like I said, her original was a, you know, torn piece of paper, and it was bigger already, and already had some nice rough edges on it, so. Alright, so that's definitely gonna hang off. Just because I should have moved that over a little bit, but okay, something about right there. Okay, and nothing else goes under this, and so I can go ahead and put this piece down. Whoops. Okay, so there we go. Let me get this edge here. All right, so there's our progress so far. Now next, we want to put on the music paper scroll, and to do that, all I did was take that same music stamp and I stamped a piece of coffee dyed paper and then rolled it up on the edges so that I got a nice little scrolly looking thing. So I think what I'm going to do is roll these a little tighter and then put some glue on them just so they stay rolled. Do the same thing on this side. And I just rolled it around the end of a paintbrush so I could get a nice round roll. And then we'll kind of make it bumpy when we're gluing it down. So it's going to go this way. So let's put some glue on the back. And kind of squish it up. Now I'm going to make mine a lot messier than she did, a lot more grungy. And that, of course, is preference. You do as clean or as grunge as you want. Okay, and then I'm going to take Vintage Photo. And kind of go over these little creases and the scrolls on the end. Oh, it does not want to stay, does it? Okay. And again, you can see we're getting a little bit of curl where we're adding the wet glue, so you can just flatten it out as needed. All right, so then we have our pen nib, and I have a pen nib to go here. And we have a button, and I have several choices of buttons that we can pick from. And a little tip for buttons, you know, this one's regular flat button. This one had the little hook on the back, but it was plastic, so I just took my wire cutters and cut that off. This one had one of these kind of, you know, where you sew through it and it's metal, and I just took a hammer and flattened it out so that they all lay flat and don't cause as much bulk. All right, so, and then I made these little flowers out of just punching circles with my little circle punch. And I think I did 4 of them per flower. And I just chose 3 different colors. This is a paper bag, this is packing material, and this is manila folder. And I just made 4 circles and then put a brad through the center of them to make my little flowers. I'm going to ink them up a little bit, grunge them up. Okay, and then I have some little die cut leaves that we can kind of tear apart and stick. I'm putting these first because I'm trying to make sure that I have room for everything before I decide what button that I'm going to use. Because like I said, I feel like my overall tag is smaller than hers, and I want to make sure that I have room for everything. And then she has another pen nib that's above the flowers. So I'm going to move these up. And then we need to put a button. And I think we need to put a button, like so it's on the corner of the picture. And I think these need to come back down, otherwise they look like they're right in her face. Do I like that button? I like the size of that button. I don't like that one, it's too flat. I don't like that one either. Decisions over a button. It's crazy, isn't it? I do like that one, I think. It's either that one or this one. This was my first instinct. I think I'm going to go with this one because I think this one fits more into the style of the era of the picture. So that is my final decision. So I'm going to get my Fabri-Tac and glue all this stuff down with Fabri-Tac because I think it's going to work the best. Okay, get these glued down. And you can use whatever kind of flowers. She had, it looked like some paper, some kind of paper roses or something. I don't have anything like that. And so that's why I chose to just make these. I had originally thought that I was going to use some pink ones that I had. And I actually have those pulled out, these. But then I decided I wanted to keep the whole neutral thing going. So that's why I ended up going with what I have. Okay, let's get the other pin nib here. Let me double check the placement on that one. See if I like where she put it, or if I want. She's got it kind of laying across the label, kind of like that. Yeah, I'm okay with that. And you can see, you can't hardly see any of the white embossing I did. But like I said, my tag, I feel like is so much smaller than hers. You can't really see much of the background at all. I may have to put some double-sided tape down in there, some foam tape. Do I have anything that small? Let me see if I can cut something, because that's got such a gap in it. I'm not sure that the glue is going to be fill up that gap. See if I can make this fit down in there. I'm going to have this Fabri-Tac all over me after I was doing so good. I'm not getting it on me. May have to do 2 pieces. To get it thick enough. Sorry guys, I know I'm off camera probably, but I gotta get it close enough that I can see it. Alright, let's see if that'll work better. Oh yeah, that's much better. Let's do the same thing on this one. So is it hot where you guys are? It's warm here. It's not near as hot as a lot of you are going through though. You know, as people, most of us, not speaking for everyone of course, but most of us are never happy with the weather. We're either too cold or too hot. I do not like being cold though. I can handle the warm weather much better than I can handle the cold weather. Okay, all right, I'm pretty happy with that so far. And when I get this completely done and it's dry, I will place it under a book so that it can get nice and flat. Yeah, I think once the glue dries now, those pin nibs will be fine. All right, so the last thing is to do our little topper up here. And this was all kind of handmade kind of stuff because I didn't have anything close. So these little bells were silver, and I dyed them or colored them with alcohol ink. And the way that I did that is I took just a little plastic cup and I put the bells down in there. They were silver. And I put some mushroom alcohol ink, just a couple of drops, and then I swished them around, and then I dumped them out and let them dry, and so that's the color they came out, which is much better than the little silvery color that they were. And then I have, this is a little Tim Holtz chain, ball and chain, that you can purchase. I got mine at Joann's in the jewelry department. And it just comes, you know, in a pack, and you can cut the ball and the chain, or you can cut the chain as long as you want, and then it has these little attaching things that go on the end. And then this is one of the Tim Holtz chipboard pieces, chipboard words. And I took one that I thought I would never use, and I covered it with coffee dye paper, and then I used my stamp set and I stamped the word Muse on there because that's what she had on hers. So hers is actually embossed into the chipboard, and she says, I believe, that it's actually a Tim Holtz piece, but it says Muse right there. But I've never seen anything like that. It could be an older piece. So, and then I've got my little bells, and then I've got some sari silk in kind of a brownish color and creamy color. So, we're going to put this together. We're going to put the ball and chain through here first. And I hope I cut this long enough to... And I put jump rings on all three of these, obviously, so they'll fit. But yeah, you can color any kind of metal or with alcohol inks like that. You can color plastic, really about anything by just putting it in a little plastic container and just kind of smushing it around in the alcohol ink. This may be more than my Fabri-Tac fingers can take at this point, but we're going to try it. Alright, so now we're going to try to hook this together. There we go. So there's our little bells, and our little Muse. And now we're going to take these and stick them through there and just kind of tie a knot. I hope. Do we want to tie a knot, or do we want to stick them through and loop them? Let's try to get them through so we can loop them. The ball and chain may be taking up too much room. We're going to try it. Oh, got them through, got them through. Alright, so then, can I get my thing through here? Fiddly. It's fiddly, guys. Okay, where's my other brown end? Alright, I'm missing one. There it is. There it is. Alright, so we got 2 browns, 2 creams. Alright. Just kind of tighten it now. Do I want that? Do I want them up like that? Or do I want them down? That is the question. try it the other way. We have nothing to lose, right? So we can just pull one end through. And then we'll just tie them in a knot. Oh yeah, I think I like that better. Okay, let's trim them off just a tad. So, any of you all watch Blacklist? The hubby and I watched the last 2 episodes last night. We had recorded them from the original night they were on because we couldn't watch them then. So we watched them last night. Very good ending, I must say. I was quite pleased. A lot of those, you know, when they end the show, you're so disappointed with the ending. But yeah, I was happy with this ending. I think it was fine. Which, like I said, does not happen, I don't feel like, very often. I feel like a lot of times they're like, well, it's ending anyway, so who cares if anybody likes it, you know? That kind of thing, but I think they did a really good job with it. And I have so enjoyed the show. I hate it's going off. I'm just kind of shredding some of these wider pieces. See how wide that is? That's way too wide for me. So I'm just tearing them so they're not so wide. There's not a lot of like drama shows and stuff like that we watch. But that's one we've kind of followed from the beginning. We watch more cooking shows, and we love all Gordon Ramsay's shows and things like that more than anything. Alright, so there is my version of today's pin. And, you know, other than a little tweak here and there, she, like I said, she had a very good, excellent, actually, tag to begin with. And so there was definitely no improvements to make on it, in my opinion. But you can tell that mine's a little bit different scale than hers. But I think it has all the elements represented in one form or another. And the only other thing that I wish did show up more is the white embossing. But that's okay. You know, my background obviously was not as big as hers. So again, it's Allison Bomber, B-O-M-B-E-R, all together, all lowercase, .blogspot.com. And you can go and check it out and read the whole article. And if you'd like to follow her on Pinterest, her Butterfly Crafter is the name of her page. I guess you call it a page on Pinterest, where you know, she has all her posts. And this pin is from when? I'm not sure. I don't see a date. The blog is from November 2013. And like I said, she did this for Fashionable Stamping Challenge. And so she did it, this tag to enter into that. And she chose this lady because this lady is Lily Elise, who I guess was a famous singer back in the day. And so she chose that as her character. So it's really interesting, and like I said, the article's really interesting to read about how she did everything and why she chose the items that she chose. So if you have a sec, check that out. And thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate everybody's support for my channel and for my Etsy store. And I think that's it. And I will see you guys back tomorrow for the 50 Stack Challenge 3. So until then, everybody have a great evening. Bye.